Hey guys, welcome to Doozer Shop. I did some modifications on one of my favorite presses in the entire world, the K.R. Wilson hand-operated hydraulic press. If you're not familiar with these presses, they're really excellent. I'm going to show you why in a second. K.R. Wilson, Buffalo, New York, made tools for Ford, like the dealer tools. Some of you guys might know the name Rotunda that Ford put on their tools, you know. But K.R. Wilson made a lot of the tools for Ford. They made presses. They made a lot of tools for the Model Ts for rebabbiting the engine blocks and reconditioning rods. They made tools for the banjo rear ends for working on, the rear ends, the transmission fixtures, engine cradles or engine stands. The K.R. Wilson made a lot of cool stuff, and if you don't know them, Ford guys will know them. But anyways, this is a press that I acquired many years ago. I want to say 20 years ago, from a factory, and someone tried to take it apart and they forgot a bolt and they cracked a casting. So I ended up having to, I got it cheap and I repaired the casting, and I brazed it, it's good as new. But let's talk less and show more, and let's show you the K.R. Wilson press. All right, let me get all situated here. All right, let me back up as far as I can. I at the hardware store, this is years ago I painted it. The paint's not as good as it used to be. That's John Deere green. I am not a John Deere fanatic at all. I think John Deere's overpriced. They stole a lot of patents from a lot of people in this right to repair thing. They want to lock up everything. I'm not a John Deere fan. That was a little political or brand politics, whatever. But I like the color. There's no orange on it, so whatever. Anyhow, this one survived, man, with a beautiful name tag that didn't get, molested as they do in many times a machine has name tags get beat to heck, right? They just do. So if you can focus on that. 37, there's a lot of presses called 37. I don't know if that's the year they were invented, but R37R is this one. Okay, the R means, if you look at online, K.R. Wilson has catalogs. I think the R means revised. Probably not, but there's E's, F's, G's, whatever. But what makes this nice is the hydraulics are contained in the head. Now before 37R, the hydraulic pump, the hand pump, was next to it. It had a separate cast iron reservoir and cast iron pump. And the 37, when I got to revision R, that's the unitized pump, where it's up top, the hand hydraulics. And I think this is a 4-inch bore. I think before the R, I think they were either a 4.5 or 5-inch bore, I forget. But no matter, this thing puts out 25 tons. I think it goes to the scale of 30 on the red line. Maybe it's a 30 ton, I don't know. And even the gauge survived. I think I put a new glass in. Yeah, see, tons on a 4-inch ram. 25 to 30s in the red line. So I think it'll do 30. I typically don't go much above 20. I mean, no, I pushed a motor shaft out. It went to the screw on the top, so that's 15. Anyways, so one of the neat things about the K.R. Wilson press is, man, I am really poorly set up here. Let me set up the camera and shoot the press, if it will stay. Yeah, all right. So one of the cool things with this press is it's got handles for up and down, like an arbor press, right? Like a drill press. You can use it as a hand press, right? It's got hydraulics, but you can use it as a hand press. And you know what? If you need that little bit of extra force, these handles, man, they come out, right? Right? They come for extra leverage, which is really cool, you know? I think there's a groove in there, and there's a spring-loaded ball detent in the hub. So that's cool. And you know, once you're down, I hope you can see that. Let's say you're pressing something, whatever. I'm not gonna press something. Once you're down, you flip it to hydraulic, and then you pump it, right? And there's 5 tons, whatever, and then the release, right? So if you're doing lots of stuff, putting something in, rapidly come down with this, pressure back, pump, get your stuff pressed in, release, take it back up, take your part out. I mean, look how fast it is. The rapid action of that, press it, good, to depth, release. The rapid action of this press, it's so ergonomic. It's so easy to set your work up, set the ram right on top of the work, right? Like most presses, let's say I'm pressing this and I adjust my table and da-di-da-da. This is most presses. You're sitting there, all right, I gotta get down to my work, I'm cranking and time's a wasting and working as fast as I can, boss. Pumping, man. You see guys on videos with these cheap presses all the time, and they're just, I mean, I could set my table or put a spacer in it, but with the Wilson press, you just come down, hit bottom, pump it up, press your whatever you're going to do, and release it and wrap it up. So just a fast setting. I'm sorry I'm talking loud. I get talking loud when I get excited. And this press makes me excited just because, you know, this is the first one I saw that is so handy to use. Okay, enough of that. I keep the handle. I tell people that come in, friends of mine that are in the shop working on stuff, they'll press it and do this. I'm like, bro, put the handle back up or else it's in your way or you'll clock yourself in the head. Whatever. All right, let me go handheld again. All right, so let me go over some other stuff. So that's the release lever. That's release and that's pressure. And you know, I used to forget. I swear to goodness. I wrote this on there. Back is pressure and forward is released, right? So it's kind of neat. It's got a rack and pinion. It's a circular, I think there's a circular rack, and then it's got a rod, right? And it leaks a little, so I got a paper towel and a paper clip. And there's a packing in there, and this whole reservoir is filled with oil. And what the deal is, the ram, the 4-inch ram has two valves in it. It's like an exhaust valve from an engine with a little itty bitty valve in the middle. And there's a big rocker arm and it pushes to release the valve. And spare packings for the pump. But this is a leather cup seal on this ram. You know, anyways. And as you might imagine, it's got a gear rack cut into the ram like a drill press, right? It's just like a drill press ram, right? And oh, this is what was happening. Can you see there's an Allen head bolt, Allen head cap screw right there? Well, somebody needed to work on this and they forgot to remove that. And I could see why, because it's obscured from vision by this pinion that goes into the rack. So this was all cracked out, and this has been brazed, repaired. Man, you wouldn't even tell, right? Did a good job. I'm patting myself on the back pretty hard for that. And I had this thing, the barbecue grill, heating the whole thing up. And I was actually brazing with the rosebud, because God, I needed some heat. Needed some heat. All right, so one of the things I wanted to talk about is the people with the Harbor Freight or whatever presses with the bottle jacks, right? There's a bottle jack they use, whether it's upside down or regular, doesn't matter. But the jack adds to the stack height, right? Of when you're pressing stuff, you're balancing things, you know, together to try and, you know, push stuff. You don't want a lot of stack height because the jack is always pushing, you know, from its tippy top to the bitty bottom. The jack is always in the column of stuff that's moving, that's trying to be compressed, and it wants to buckle, right? The column, the buckling equation for column loads, right? You don't ever want that because it leads to instability, right? It makes things want to go wonky sideways. Where this press, the jack, you know, the bottom of the jack, not the entire thing, right? This entire thing in like a bottle jack hydraulic press, the cheaper ones, would be always sticking down here below the beam, right? Below the H-frame beam. It'd be this big jack down below it, and then it goes even further down when you apply the pressure and extend the ram. But with this type of press, and this is, many presses are like this, the bottom of the ram, right? The bottom of the ram is under the beam, and the body is between, you know, between the beams sections and above it. So you're not adding any column height to the stack from the body of your cylinder or of your jack. So that's why this is an advantage. Those type of presses that use a bottle jack, they're so sideways loose, there's so much play sideways, and you're adding to the column height stack with the height of the jack always. This, you're only adding to the stack height when the ram comes out, right? I hope you kind of know what I'm saying. So this thing will always be more rigid. There is no side play. I mean, there's, you know, 2 or 3 thou side play. I mean, in this thing, it's really nice and tight. Okay, so let me kind of go over a few things. I keep forgetting what I all want to talk about, then I'll come back. So this blue shelf, I put this on here many years ago because you're gonna always need pushers and receivers, right? You're gonna need a receiver if you're pushing something that's got a little thing sticking down. You can plop it on there. You need clearance, you gotta have a receiver. You need a pusher, right? I mean, this could be a receiver or a pusher. Like this is a pusher, right? It's just a piece of steel from the lathe, and you're gonna put it on there, and you're gonna push, you know, down inside something, whatever it is. So you guys with the press know, bits and bobs from any which way are so handy for pressing things. You need it. It's imperative. So I put this blue shelf on there, and I just, these little cross tension ties, whatever, I just drilled some 5/8 holes in my sheet metal shelf and put the shelf on there. And this shelf was getting so full. I had another shelf, a blue shelf in the attic, doing nothing. I had a couple of these from a store display. So I made another one for the bottom. So I had the blue shelf and had some brackets spot welded to it. And I took those off with the grinder real careful and easy. And let me kind of go to the side. What I did here is, this is a piece of 1/2-inch pipe, right? 1/2 inch, it happens to be galvanized. And the outside of a 1/2-inch pipe is .840, a little under 7/8. So 840 0.840. These holes are 7/8 or 15/16, so it's a good, nice fit in there. And it's just a piece of pipe. It's a piece of 1/2-inch pipe, and it just happened to be the dimensions of the shelf lined up with the middle of my hole spacings. So the shelf is mostly on the pipe, and I just got some half strap clamps on there with 1/4-inch screws. Obviously, make it there's 1,000 ways to do that. It's just kind of neat. So I just stuffed it on the bottom holes for another storage area of pressing paraphernalia, right? And I happen to have these casters welded to this frame. Like, this came from a store display that some store at the mall was throwing out, and I had a couple of these. It's just a box of nothing. And it had just pieces of angle iron for feet, and I just unbolted the angle iron and I bolted these on. I think I had to drill 2 holes for the bolts. So now it's on wheels, and it's super handy to be able to have a press that moves around, and every surface is a storage space, right? It just collects storage, but they're just pieces of I think it's 1.5-inch angle iron. So I got my 2 shelves. One of the things, now I did this yesterday, so if you'll notice, my floor is spattered with oil, because this floor was covered in metal chips like crazy yesterday. I swept everything up, and I cleaned it up, and I vacuumed it up. And you know, I don't care to have a shop with a pristine floor. It's a working shop, right? These guys with the beautiful painted floors, I mean, God bless you, man, but I don't think these guys do a lot of work in their shop, and that's fine. Some guys are hobbies with the cars, and they just park the cars, whatever. So what I was saying, let me go behind it and shoot forward, because I think that's a better view. These holes, right? That was a factory hole, and they're on 4-inch spacings. That was a factory hole. That was a factory hole. The one behind the strap was a factory hole. And yesterday, right, I drilled holes in between the 4-inch at 2-inch, right? So again, that was there. That's 15/16, and I put one in the middle. It's 2 inches down, and then another 2 inches is the factory hole. And the pin happens to be, you know, the pin supports the table. Sorry for the shadows. That's a hole that I drilled right there, right? So you can kind of see, let me sit down a little bit. Yeah, so that's a hole I drilled. That's a factory hole. That's the hole I drilled. There's the factory hole. So having the holes spaced every 2 inches instead of every 4, you know, really helps, because I know this thing has a lot of stroke. I think it comes out 12 inches or something. But I like having a rigid, you know, not a lot of stick out, because the less that it's sticking out, the more rigid it is, and the less likely stuff's going to go sideways. And I hate putting spacers in there. Having a lot of stick out is not as bad as my disdain for having to, I was constantly short by an inch, right? Make a joke if you want. I was short by an inch or a 1/2 inch or 1.5 inches, right? That window of 2-inch increments, it saves me putting spacers in. It just seemed like all the time I was putting spacers in, and it really sucked. So to be able to, usually I had the table for most of my stuff down 1 hole, and up that hole, right? I was in this pinhole the majority of the time, and to go up to that pinhole, everything was too short. So just happened to be the work that I was doing with the table lower at this hole. I needed to like spacers for everything. With the table at this hole, it seemed like a lot of the stuff didn't fit. So I wanted a sweet spot hole 2 inches in the middle of that 4-inch spacing. So of course I put one there, you know, above the whole sequence, and then I put one below, right? I'm going to show you this. Below. So that's going to work out nice. And this was the factory. I didn't do them all the way down because I said it's not going to be handy there. That's 4 inches, and then they went down to like 8 inches with the factory hole spacing. I guess they figure longer stuff, you don't need as much adjustment. I don't know. Don't know, whatever. But this whole thing, man, I drilled these with the mag drill yesterday. But, so you guys know what a magnetic drill is. Sticks on there. But what I did to space this out, man, you gotta get the spacing right or else nothing will sit very well. I made this on the milling machine. This is a jig. So that round piece of steel there, it's just a scrap I had. It happens to have a little cutout with a tapped. It's just scrap, it doesn't matter. That's to fit the existing holes. I can't show you unless I go around back, whatever. Okay, so what you do is, see it's got a step in it? That's the edge, it rides the side. So, let go on that one? No. Man, this is gonna make a liar out of me here. Dude, come. Oh, you know what? Alright. So that goes in there. See the edge, the fence that butts up against the rail, the side of the rail. Come on. And you know there's a burr in there, and I should have okay. Alright, so that's in there. Right? That's in there. There's some float with that bolt. I milled a little bit of a slot with that 1/4-inch bolt. So, you know, the edge fits tight up against there. It's not now because I'm just showing you guys, and you gotta tap it, it's so tight. But, oh, there it goes, it just went in. So that fits tight against the edge of the rail. And that's a 3/30 seconds, an 093 pilot drill, right? So I got my spacing perfect. So there's the center, and then there's 2 inches exactly for a pilot drill. And I actually made a 3/16 after. This is a drill jig. I'm sorry, I should have started with that. This is a drill jig. So I could pilot with a 3/30 seconds drill, and then I come down here with a 3/16 drill. And you know, you just flip this over. I mean, it doesn't matter. And the reason I use 3/16, I got a pin that's 3/16, so I drill them initially 3/32, then I drill them 3/16, because the pilot for the rotor broach on the mag drill is 3/16. So I use a solid 3/16 pin, and that's how I line the rotor broach up. So, come on, Bostich. Okay, right? So this is my drilling jig. This has a little bit of, see how that moves? That's to accommodate just some variation in the frame. But what you do is you push this up to the edge, and this is exactly 2 inches between, you know, all three of these holes. So that's how you do something. You make a drill jig. This is just a scrap aluminum piece I had out of the drawer. Yeah, it's the most precise way I could think of to do that. Oh, another thing before I forget, I know this video is getting long. People click through and they don't care because it's not interesting. It's interesting to me. But please watch my videos if you find me interesting. If you don't, then I'm not here to please the world. So these are the press plates. Man, they're like 1.25 inches thick. So there's the hole that you could dangle stuff through, right? You got something you want to push, you know, just like that, right? And you can obviously just open them up for bigger, larger work. But what the sweet thing is, man, notice this little step on the front. You could tip these up and use them as V-blocks, right? Look how thick that is and how strong that. This thing is so strong because it's actually got that welded gusset on there. So you can turn them up, you know, as such. I mean, you'd probably swap them. That way you're not farting around with this. And if you have, that's a big V slot, and if you need the small V slot, then, you know, you can flip them both up, and, right? And, you know, for doing straightening work, right? I straighten stuff on this press all the time, right? It's really nice for that type of stuff. And, you know, I found this somewhere, some kind of a jig, and it's got little V-blocks, so I use that too. And anything can be tooling, you know, anything can make your job easier, you know, it's just a variety of stuff. Keith Fenner, what was it, Turn Right Machine, he's got some cool ball bearing V-blocks that are not only ball bearings, but they swivel, because when you press stuff, check his stuff out, man. I need to make some of those. They're pretty awesome. Oh, and just, you know, it's got a winch on the side, which is, it needs a gear reduction winch. This is just a straight up hand crank winch. I got the crank turned around in a little safety dog for whatever. And my my oil can collection. Got this nice, I got a couple of these wooden, I think they're cabinet drawers or something from a kitchen or a bathroom cabinet. Keep my oil cans in there, and just, I got way too many oil cans, but I love them all. They're just so unique and different. All right, the K.R. Wilson press. Look at these welds, man. Stick welded, brother. I'm telling you, that's some stick welding. Looks like AC uphill, man, or something. I don't know, not the greatest, but that's fine. These are beefy, man. These are just great welds. You know, but anyways, all right, K.R. Wilson, Arcade, New York. They started in Buffalo. Arcade is just 25 minutes outside, 30 minutes outside Buffalo, maybe. But they're not in business anymore. Chisholm Rider made Orchard tractors. They made those really high tractors with the raised up wheels. I don't know how Chisholm Rider became owner of K.R. Wilson, and his Devon Industries is, you know, what came about the taking apart of K.R. Wilson. Now, Devon was the last name of somebody who married into the Wilson family. I'm not sure. Whatever. But anyway. All right, let me set you over here. There you go. Well, thanks for checking out the K.R. Wilson press. The best press in the world as far as I'm concerned. But in the shop, it is the handiest press to use. So anyhow, hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, thanks for watching. This is Doozer Shop.